मुच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।
श्री कृष्णाय नमः। श्री गोपी जनवल्लभाय नमः। श्रीमदाचार्य चरणकमलेभ्यो नमः। श्री गुसाई जी परम दयालवे नमः। श्री गुरवे नमः। नमो भगवते तस्मै कृष्णाय अद्भुत कर्मणे रूप नाम विभेदेन जगत क्रीडति यो यतः। बुद्धि प्रेरक कृष्णस्य पादपद्मं प्रसीदतु। ध्याना समर्थ जीवानाम् अस्माकं सर्वदा स्वतः। प्रभुर्नंद कुमारो मे स्वामिनी वृषभानुजा। कृतार्थोऽहं 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 न संशयः। अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। पुष्टिमार्य सर्वज्ञः करुणारसपूरितः श्रेष्ठः फलप्रदाता च तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। असदो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतंगमय। ओम शांति शांति शांति। Welcome back to the series of Life Solutions in 2021, a Vedic Lifestyle. I am Aditya, and we are going to proceed further in today's journey. Today, we'll try and talk more about Upanishads. In the previous sessions, I've already spoken a lot about Upanishads. And fortunately, Prempuri Ashram has been kind enough to organize a lot of series on Upanishads itself. Now, if you are someone who belongs to the Pushti Sampradaya or the Vaishnava Sampradaya, maybe these Upanishads may not be applicable to you because of the commentaries that are there on it. We all come from various philosophical schools, and these various philosophical schools have certain set of interpretation, have certain set of thinking, have certain set of principles to follow. And because of that reason, it may not be possible for us to listen to certain things or possibly understand certain things. Given that, it's extremely crucial for us to know what kind of philosophy we follow. And hence, in our Indian darshan and Indian philosophy, as we call it call as Indic philosophy, there are certain aspects that we need to be aware of. The first one is Brahma, the second one is Jiva, the third is Jagat, fourth is Maya. These are, then comes Karak, and then comes the Karan. And after that comes the Sansar. Post which we need to understand Atma and Paramatma. When we start understanding these concepts, that's the time when we realize that our philosophy is so wide broad that it is different across acharyas. Sri Adyaguru Shankaracharya has a different philosophy, which is known as Mayavad, versus Ramanuj, versus Madhva, versus Nimbarka, and last but not the least is Vallabh or Vallabhacharya. All these acharyas have propounded their own philosophy depending on various interpretation, to which the last one, that's Sri Mahaprabhuji, Sri Vallabhacharya ji, whom I belong, which community I belong to, or whose Acharya Sri Mahaprabhuji, has considered testimony, verbal testimony, as one of the prime sources of gathering knowledge. And hence, when Vaishnavas listen to Upanishads, they may feel something off. And hence, it's important for us to understand our philosophical concepts in the right way, and then only we should be entering into Upanishads. But here I've chosen some very generic and something very globally applicable, which doesn't have much. I'm not saying philosophy is not there in these altogether, but no, philosophy is there. But this philosophical aspect is not something that is too much debatable in nature. So we'll try to stick to something which is really rudimentary and applicable to a lot of people. In today's session, I spoke a mantra. Along with a shloka, I also spoke a mantra. I recited a mantra. That was Asadoma Sadgamaya, Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya, Mrutyorma Amrutangamaya. And then we said Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Now, when we were reciting that mantra, first of all, let's try and understand why is it called a mantra. It is called a mantra because it's a part of the Vedic aspect of scriptures. And what are the Vedic aspect of scriptures? As I mentioned earlier, 4 of them. The Veda, the Brahman, the Aranyak, and the Upanishad. And whichever verses are there in them, they are called mantra. Because they are not shloka. These were hymns or sounds that were there in the universe. And we have already understood that concept in one of our previous sessions. And hence, this is a continuation of the concept of mantras, which comes through Upanishads. Now, let's try and understand the various mantras that come by in this entire Upanishad, in this entire segment of Upanishad. So the first thing, since we spoke about Asadoma Sadgamaya, Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya, Mrutyorma Amrutangamaya, Om Shanti Shanti Shanti, that mantra comes in the Bruhad Aranyak Upanishad. Every Ved has its own Upanishad. There are 10 main Upanishads, and post which there are 108 Upanishads available currently. Every Upanishad has its own speciality and peculiarity. Certain times, certain mantras get repeated in certain set of Upanishads as well. Prempuri Ashram has been kind enough to record a lot of Upanishads. In case if your philosophical point of view is clear, you can listen to the web series of various Upanishads propounded by various learned scholars. Why are we learning Upanishads today? With a very fundamental reason, because Upanishad refers to sitting near and gathering knowledge. You might have heard this a lot of time while you are reading the Westerners and while you are reading those Western philosophers or possible authors. They say you need to discover yourself. You need to go through a rigorous search for yourself. You need to search for your answers. You need to travel and meditate and have some realizations in order to make the most of your life. You need to seek your own questions. You need to go within to find those answers, and so on and so forth. Well, all of these is well said and done. Apparently, these activities were even done by the various spiritual identities in India, in the Bharat Varsha. They got a chance to explore spirituality at a very early age or even at a very late age. I remember for once in the Vraj, which is in the Uttar Pradesh, which is considered to be the land of Lord Krishna. In Vraja comes a mountain called as Govardhan Giriraj. Now, there were two Rishi Munis. They were sitting and meditating and doing penance just to have darshan of Giriraj. And they had piles of their bones. Piles of their bones, skulls and everything. And once a king went and saw that sight, that king came to Narad and asked, what were they doing? And Narad said they were trying to find Giriraj, Govardhan. Because it's considered to be spiritual, devotional, divine in nature. They wanted to have a sight of it. And so many births they had taken just to search for Giriraj. Well, apparently, we are not sure what our next birth is going to be. We are not sure what our goal is going to be in the next birth. And hence, since we have got this human life, Durlabho Manusho Deha. Durlabho Manusho Deha. It refers to this human body is extremely rare. I am not saying this. Devtas are saying this in scriptures. They are saying that being a human being by itself is a boon. It's a rare event because we have to do so many benevolent activities, so many punya in order to get a human body. Now, why do we want to waste human body in activities that are not going to yield you anything or they're going to yield you anything which is not substantial in nature? Substantial refers to anything that is mediocre, anything that is rudimentary, anything that's very basic and can be achieved by a lot of other people as well. Within our capacities, it's our responsibility to achieve something extraordinary, and then no one is asking you to go and climb an Everest for that. Even a basic fundamentals, even very primitive form of acts being done to save mankind is absolutely helpful. For example, wearing masks when you're going out. It's not for yourself. You are trying to save others at the same time. You don't know when you are a transmitter, even if you have taken a vaccine or not taken a vaccine. Well, having said all of these, Upanishads have a broader vision and they have the guiding force of helping a disciple. A guru is sitting near the shishya sitting near the guru, and the guru is answering the questions of the shishya. Now, I'm sure a lot of you have a lot of questions and they also need to get answered. And considering that fact, let's try and understand this. Why we have already understood why we need to consider Upanishad. So let's deep dive into this entire segment of Upanishad. So when we refer to this Asadoma Sadgamaya, Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityorma Amritangamaya, Om Shanti Shanti Shanti, we are trying to say, O Paramatma, lead me from Asat to Sat. From the lie or something that is not true, lead me to the truth. You know, the beauty about truth is, it doesn't change. It stays the way it is. Even in the past, even in the present, even in the future. You cheated on someone, you cheated someone then, you cheated someone then, and you cheated someone then. What I'm trying to say is you're not going to cheat forward, but that statement is not going to change because that act is already done. It's similar to this moment. Went. Past. Gone. You're not going to get it back. And a lot of people say, jo dikhta nahi wo hota hai, jo hota nahi wo dikhta hai. All of that is quite filmy in nature. Yeah, but the truth could be beyond your imagination, and hence your logical mind may not be able to accept it. For example, the truth is Lord loves his devotees. I would like to mention Goswami 108 Shri Rasadhra Rai Ji Mahoday Shri over here. while I was interacting on Instagram with some people, Apshri gave me one amazing insight. Shastriji, try talking about our relationship with God and why do we blame Him? Why do we blame Him for certain activities? And why should we waste time in blaming Him? I would like to thank Apshri, do a Danvat Pranam and offer my prostrates and try to answer this question and do some justice. We, with our 1% brain usage, which we don't even use completely, try to understand the source or the Almighty who has the capacity of utilizing 100% brain. Einstein used, I think, 4 to 7%. I mean, it's debatable of how much percentage he used, but definitely more than a human size. But if you ask him whether do you remember your residence mobile number or a phone number, he would say, no, I have noted it down somewhere. Let me give it to you. And you would wonder, a man with that brain doesn't remember his phone number. He's like something that can be stored somewhere else. Why should I remember it? Fair point. We, with our 1% brain, are trying to understand Almighty who can use his brain 100%. Second thing, wherever there is logic, there is no love. You can't love someone and be logical about it. You can be sane, but you can't be logical. That means if you love someone X, they should love you X or 2X or 3X. These are not mathematical equations. Similar thing goes with God as well. God is not the mathematical equation that you offer a 10 nariyal and you should get 10 nariyals in return. You are offering some flowers worth 11 rupees and you are expecting 11 crores from him. Oh, hello. You are a bad businessman. You are trying to do business with God. When you go to a guest place, you shouldn't go empty-handed. That's the reason you're bringing something for Lord. Did Lord ask you to get it? No. Read Bhagavad Gita. Patram pushpam phalam toyam yome bhaktya prayachati. The bhakta are getting all those things for the God. And the God is accepting the way it comes. But why are you creating barter deals with him? Hey Bhagwan, મારા આમને બચાવી લેજો તો હું તમારા માટે 11 વાર સિદ્ધિવિનાયક ચાલવા આવીશ. और હું 151 નો મનોરથ કરાવીશ, और હું ચુંદડી મનોરથ કરાવીશ, और હું ફલાણું કરીશ, और હું ઢીકણું કરીશ. Is it really when something happens in your life you will celebrate it with God? In our Pushti Kirtan Sahitya we say Dina Dina Hota Kalyan. That means every day is something auspicious. Every day is the day of Utsav because we believe in Nityotsav. Now, who are we to blame God for the mishappenings that is happening in our life? For the mishappenings that are occurring in our lives. Why should we blame him? What is his role in it? The entire world is governed because of the rule of karma. Okay. The only exception that he can do is maybe he can save the way he saved Prahlad. But Prahlad had firm determination, had a firm belief, had trust that God actually exists in that stamba or that pillar. Do we have that? We are someone who doesn't trust God so easily because we can't see him, because we feel he's not interacting with us. He's interacting with us, but our ears and our eyes are shut because of our own wrongdoings or because of our own actions. We cannot see that the Lord is trying to make an attempt of having a conversation with us. And those are all non-verbal cues. Lord is not going to come and say things to you. Let me give you an example. 500 years ago, when Srinathji was playing, Gusainji, son of Sri Mahaprabhuji, requested Srinathji not to interact with Vaishnavas. Now you may feel, why such a spiritual leader would request something like this? But look at the reasoning. તમને વૈષ્ણવો પોતાની લૌકિક વસ્તુઓથી પરેશાન કરશે. You will be troubled by worldly problems of these Vaishnavas, and that's the reason you should stop interacting with them. You think Lord didn't want to interact with you guys? No, but it's because of our own actions. Lord is not interacting with us and answering our own questions directly. And thanks to Kali Yuga. So how do we know? How can we develop this relationship and believe some faith? In order to believe faith, you need to first understand the Mahatmya Gyan, the important aspects of what Lord is and how Lord behaves and what are the various aspects revolving around him. You need to read Srimad Bhagavatam to understand what kind of divine acts Lord can do. And where Lord is stating karmana jayate jantuh karman naiva viliyate. He's stating about the theory of karma over there. Who are we to question Lord? Who are we to blame him for the acts that are happening in our life? And let me tell you one thing. Yes, the origin or the source is slightly biased towards certain set of people. And that's the reason he says, Yame Vaishavrunte tena labdhya. I will select whom I want to select. I will choose the one whom I want to choose and seek devotion from him or her. But that's towards bhakta. Someone who has never done anything for God is now questioning why God did nothing for me. And someone who has done everything for God is also questioning that why haven't you done anything for me? That means you were trying to establish a relationship of give and take. And we violated the number one principle of karmanyavadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. Is it wrong? No, not really. Is it wrong to expect? Once you rise in spirituality, you will understand that it's not worth it to expect. And we need to come out of these barriers, these jails, these weird things that are stopping us. We need to completely eradicate out of all of this. Lord accepted Shishupal, Lord accepted Ajamil. People dying out of COVID is not because of Lord's mistake. It's because of we as human mankind, we lost control of a situation. We were not careful. We thought the economy is open. We are going out. And now a lot of people say everything is prescribed. The destiny is already written. Well, let me tell you this. Your actions can actually change the destiny. Your intentions, your intent towards achieving certain things can actually overwrite your destiny. But for that, you will be tested. You won't even realize when your test is. It's not like an exam schedule. Okay, tomorrow you have an exam, day after tomorrow you have an exam, after that you have an exam. Your exam could be on any day. And since your exam is on any day, you don't know when you're going to pass and fail. But those actions of yours will definitely have an effect on your life. Unfortunately, fortunately, that's the truth. Now, our logical mind may not accept it because we as humans just want to blah, 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 blabber. All we want to do is establish our own supremacy that we are Sarva Shrestha and there is no better thinker than me in this world. And unfortunately, this situation is more in males rather than females. They have their super ego that comes out and tries to establish domination, and they feel they know it all. I just have one question. Really? Your 1% brain can actually account for 7 billion people and have knowledge about each and every one, and you know it all? Really? That means any given solution, you won't listen to things and you'll just do whatever you want to do. A lot of people talk about. Here's one situation that I would like to share with you all. Just because you have a counter opinion doesn't mean you're not open. That means you're lateral. But when we completely reject opposite person's idea in a very threshold manner, that's the space when we need to realize maybe we are not that open. Maybe we need to work around. But when someone starts touching nerves of your spirituality, or starts testing you in terms of your integrity, you have all the rights to fight against, or you have all the rights to ignore it and let time answer that. The later one is preferred more in comparison to the previous one. Reason being, over there you are leaving it on Almighty to deal with that situation, and in the first situation you are taking in charge. But let me tell you one thing, it's not worth it throwing stones at mud when those same mud is going to come on you because you are the one who's throwing stones. Lord created this universe, gave various responsibilities to gods and goddesses and humans. When they try to mess, they face consequences. Whenever Lord feels that it's time for me to come down, Sambhavami yuge yuge, paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha duskritam, dharma samsthapanarthaya Sambhavami yuge yuge. Lord is going to come down and save this planet. And if Lord cannot come down, I'm sure he's going to send some help. And that's the concept of why we shouldn't be blaming God and why we should be responsible for our own acts and actually grateful that we have food to eat, we have enough things to take care of during this particular time of stress. Moreover, we need to do Purusharth and be grateful of the Purusharth that we are doing and all the aspects that we already have in life. This entire conversation came from Asadoma Sadgamaya, from the false lead me to truth. Then comes Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya, something that leads you from darkness towards light, something that leads you from ignorance to knowledge, something that leads you from being unknown about various things in life towards being known about various things in life. Well, these are the various things that comes under Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya. And last but not the least is Mrityorma Amrutangamaya. That means Mrityu means death, and Amrutam refers to a life without death. In other words, we call Amar. Because you consume Amrut, you become Amar. So instead of fearing that death, we start feeling connected with the source. And we start feeling that knowledge of connected being with the source that makes us immortal. We don't worry about our materialistic death, but we rather grow in an immaterialistic way. And that is nothing but Mrityorma Amrutangamaya. These invocations help us soothe our mind, create an aura, spread energy, take care of that energy, and see some positive aspects changing in our lives. Similarly, when we are done studying with our Guru, technically we are never done studying with our Guru, but when our Brahmacharya ashram is ended, unfortunately, when I was a kid, even I had lesser understandings about it. Maybe I would have spent my childhood in a very different way. But when the kid is done studying and that kid is going to enter the world, he's going to the Guru and requesting, I'm going to enter Grihastha ashram now. I'm going to be an anashrami for a while. And then I'll enter Grihastha ashram. What should I do? It is said, Satyam vada, dharmam chara, swadhyayan mana pramadah, आचार्याय प्रियम धनमारुत्य प्रजातंतुमां व्यवेत व्यवच्छेत्सिहि. It refers to first thing, say the truth, સાચું બોલજે. Second, ધર્મમ ચર, ધર્મનું આચરણ કરજે. Walk on the path of dharma. The dharma will guide you somewhere. સ્વાધ્યાયાન મના પ્રમદઃ, સદગ્રંથોનું અધ્યયન. And don't be lazy. That refers to you need to study, you need to get engaged in books, you need to spend your time gathering knowledge, and you can't be lazy about it. This is one of the major learnings for me as well. I'm a little lazy person. I don't do things that before the deadlines. I always let them do after the deadline, because I feel, what's the fun in doing them early? But I'm realizing it's actually fun to do early. Now, a guru is giving all these things as an advice to the kid. He's giving one of the last learnings. And what a beautiful concept has been mentioned over here. Acharyaya priyam dhanam arutya. Acharyane priya dhan apja. That refers to give decent amount of wealth to your acharya and try to have your protege, whoever is your protege, take care of them. This is the kind of advice Acharya is giving, but he's not yet done. The Acharya is also saying at the time further, Matrudevo bhava, Pitrudevo bhava, Acharya devo bhava, Atiti devo bhava. Mata is a god. Pita, father, is a god. Acharya, preceptor, is a god. Atiti, a guest, is also a god. All of these are gods, and it's our responsibility to respect them, to pray them, to take care of them. Apparently, since I come from teaching an educational segment in the materialistic world, and even in the materialistic world, it's bound in the initial stages, even I got emotionally invested in my kids. However, time made me realize that I don't need to be. But then I realized I need to be invested in them beyond the materialistic way. And that's through being a guiding force. And that's why an Acharya is giving an utmost emotional yet lateral advice to someone who's going away, who's going to enter the Grihasthashram. The way you change teachers to learn new subjects, even the guru feels that you should be connected with your preceptor or with your teacher. And however, that's not the real situation. And hence, such guidelines have been given. Because Guru gave you Vidya. And Vidya is beyond the Guru as well. But it's the Guru who's giving you the dhan of that Vidya. That Vidya wouldn't have reached to you without the Guru. And hence, such amazing advices have been given in the Taittiriya Upanishad, referring to when someone is going to start life. And such advices have been given further. Further as well, what kind of responsibilities should one take have also been given. Ye kecha asmakam shreyanso brahmanaha tesham tvaya asanena prashvasitavyam Shraddhaya deyam, ashraddhaya adeyam, shriya deyam, riya deyam, dhiya deyam, samvida deyam. Now, why Brahmanaha have been mentioned over here? Because Brahmins are the torchbearers of knowledge. Since they provide you with knowledge, since they do a lot of religious, spiritual activities at your house, welcome them. Give them an asan to sit. Give them the appropriate amount of dan. Because their spiritual growth doesn't make them greedy. Brahmins are never greedy about money. And if Brahmins are greedy about money, that means they are not spiritually that stronger. We need to identify such Brahmins, and accordingly only we should be donating to them. You should have faith in them and donate them. You shouldn't be unfaithful, or you shouldn't not be void of devotion while giving that donation to them. Even if you have lesser amount of money, doesn't really matter. Give part of it which is proportionate to your wealth. You don't need to be an entire giver of everything. And be extremely polite while you're giving. Don't be biased while giving. And don't think about your self-ego while giving. Now, this thing is not just applicable to Brahmins while they are receiving something. This is applicable to the entire humankind or the mankind while they are donating to anyone in this world. And since they are donating to anyone in this world, they need not be worrying about what will people think. What if I give more? What if I give less? What will I feel? How will I feel? Because unfortunately in Kali Yuga, it is said, Yashorthe Dharma Sevanam. That refers to people will follow religion just to be famous. And that's why a lot of people donate a lot of things and come in news, because they want that publicity. Unfortunately, this is something that we need to avoid. Moving further, we have one of the major learnings that come. Tena tyaktena bunjita, ma gruda kasya svidhanam. We shouldn't be hoarding someone else's money. We shouldn't be acquiring something that is not ours. We should never chase or be owner of something that is not rightfully ours. And that's exactly what Ravan tried to do. And look at the kind of end he had to meet. Eventually he died. So this comes from the Ishopanishad. Ishopanishad, first mantra itself says, Tena Taktena Punjita. Now, I hope you all are realizing how these small sentences have an impact in our life. They have certain implications in our life. They guide us. They make us feel aware about the situations that we are in. They make us feel extremely noble, and they gave us an idea about how we can do it better by practicing all these philosophies. Now, some people feel, what happens when we learn these Upanishads? Yadaiva vidyaya karoti shraddhaya Upanishada tadeva viryavattaram bhavati. Those who have faith from their inner conscience, antakkaran, those who attempt understanding all of these various principles and aspects, eventually they become extremely capable, and at the same time not just capable, but they bear a lot of fruits in their life. they become samarthyavan and safal at the same time. This is one of the major benefits that we get to learn when we read Chandogya Upanishad. It talks about when you know such things, it becomes much better for you. In this entire lines of Upanishad, a lot has been said about the Almighty. But is there something that has been said for the Guru? Guru, we say this verse, Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Gurur Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Guru is Brahma, Guru is Vishnu, Guru is himself Maheshwara. Guru is Sakshat, the soul, the source of this universe, Parabrahma. And hence we pay our prostrates, we bow down in front of this Guru. And hence in Shweta, in one of the Upanishads, it is said, Tasya deve parabhaktihi yatha deve tatha guru. Tasyaite kathita yartha prakashante mahatmanaha prakashante mahatmanaha. જેની પરમાત્મા અવિચળ ભક્તિ છે અને તેવી જ ભક્તિ ગુરુમાં છે. Someone who is devoted to the Almighty also has a similar devotion for the Guru. For those people, they get enlightened, they get the guiding force, and they see or observe changes in context with their soul, in context with their life. Though that famous Hindi saying, Guru Govind dono khade kahe lagu pai, is absolutely there. I would also like to share what kind of a Guru can actually bless us. So at least for Vaishnavas, Mahaprabhuji himself says, Krishna Seva Param Viksha, Dambadi Rahitam Naram, Srimad Bhagavata Tattvajnam, Bhaje Jignasu Adarat. So someone who is always seen in Seva of Bhagavan Shri Krishna, someone who doesn't have damba, doesn't live a hypocrite life, someone who knows Srimad Bhagavatam and the aspects and the various deep meanings of Srimad Bhagavatam, such person should be considered or prayed with extreme curiosity. And at the same time, Sri Mahaprabhuji, once he was during his Prithvi Parikrama, during his entire tour of Bharatvarsha, comes to Gaharvan and sees an Ajgar. I'm not sure if the literal translation is cobra, but sees a snake on the ground, and that snake is being hurt, being bit by numerous insects. And Sri Mahaprabhuji started actually feeling really low. So the followers started asking Sri Mahaprabhuji, why are you feeling low? Why are you feeling low after looking at this particular site? It's not that I'm feeling really bad. I'm not really feeling bad for myself. I'm feeling bad for that Ajgar. That Ajgar in the previous birth was a guru. He had his own mutt. And these insects that are biting, they were the Shishya. They were the disciples of that guru. Apparently, this guru only gathered wealth and never gave the right kind of knowledge that these students deserved or these disciples deserved. And hence, in the next birth, the revenge is being taken, saying that you wasted one entire life of ours by just seeking things that you wanted and you did nothing for our benefit. Are we really praying such gurus? Are we really being approached by such gurus? This is one question that we need to definitely think. And hence, is this really how we want to grow in our life? And if the answer is no, let's see what Katha Upanishad is trying to say. Uttishtha Jagrata Prapya Varan Nibodata Kshurasya Dhara Nishita Duratyaga Durgam Pathasthat Kavayo Vadanti. Arise, awake, and stop not until your goal is achieved. Prapya Varan Nibodata. Gnani Guruo ne prapt kar, Atmagnan मेड़फ. That's what you need to do. You need to find the right kind of mentor. You need to find the right kind of guru. You need to find the guiding force who can actually impact and change your life. The way you need to ensure that your astra or the shastra needs to be polished, needs to be strengthened, needs to be so impeccable that once you throw that shastra or astra, the opposite person is actually going to face death. Similarly, you need to gain that knowledge. Imagine this: if something is extremely blunt, can you walk on it? No, it's extremely difficult to walk on something that is so blunt. Similarly, when we are talking about self-realization, that path is not easy. That path is tough. But you need the right kind of guru who can guide you towards that particular direction. These are some various aspects that have been mentioned in the Upanishads. Similarly, Upanishads have various topics. For example, the Taittiriya Upanishad itself has so many wonderful aspects. It talks about shiksha, that means learning or knowledge. It talks about money and the way our mind functions or way our brain functions, and how there's a relation between calm, desire, and our buddhi. How Ved Adhyayan helps. How the anna, the food that we eat, has an impact on our mind. How science plays a role in our life. What is the definition of bliss, ananda? What are the various learnings that we get from Bhrigu Rishi? What are the various interactions that have happened in the past? These are the various topics that we get to know. These are just one of those topics that we get to know from the Taittiriya Upanishad. Similarly, there are 108 other Upanishads. On a note, I would like to also mention Aurobindo. Since Aurobindo is a Krishna Bhakta, his philosophy is a little similar to what Sri Mahaprabhuji propounds. And hence, if anyone wants to enter the Upanishad space, you can definitely read Aurobindo's commentaries on the 10 Upanishads. And the beauty about that is it's available in English and it's available in an app format. So yeah, since you already know what you need to do, here's what I'm going to say. Sangachadvam, Sambadadvam, Samvo Manausi Janatam, Deva Bhagam Yatha Purve Sanjanana Upasate. Since time and ages, gods have been talking against each other. Okay. Gods have been talking against not each other, but the Rakshasas or the Asuras. These gods have unity amongst each other. They don't fight against each other. They perform their own activities and they take care of this entire universe. Similarly, we need to be one as a unit. We need to go further. We need to talk the right things. We need to make our minds one. We need to make our objective one. We need to live as a one identity and make the most out of the current situation that we are in. And hence it is said, Sanghe Shakti Kali Yuge. It's only when we face things together we can actually achieve greatness in life. Having said this, I would like to end my sayings today. We have taken a shorter day today because Upanishad is something that is extremely tough. But on a lighter note, if we try and explore Upanishad, we'll see that so many problems of ours get automatic solutions over there. Whichever caste, creed you belong to, whichever philosophy you follow, the world is an open arena. Get the right kind of Brahmin or get the right kind of guru who can actually guide you towards something called as Brahma Vidya. Because Upanishads are tough, they can't be learned by self-study. Because the nature of Upanishad is to sit near someone and that Upanishad will, and the guru will teach you. Similarly, you need to do something like that. Find your guru or find some mentors who can guide you. Someone who can guide you in the right space, because at the same time, we have something called as importance of satsang. Satsang refers to satyasya sangaha. That means when we are surrounded or we are around the truth, that is considered to be satsanga. If we go and see, a lot has been said by satsang by various other scholars. While we are considering Upanishads, let me tell you one thing. It's not going to be easy for you to explore them. However, there's one major learning that I would like to give you. And it comes from an Upanishad which is called Katha Upanishad. It is said, Shreyascha Preyascha Manushya Metaha Tau Samparitya Vivinakti Dhiraha Shreyohi Dhiro Bhipreyaso Vrunite Preyo Mando Yoga Kshemad Vrunite. There are two things, Shreya and Preya. Shreya refers to something for Atma Kalyan, which is for self-benefit. And something that is going to give you materialistic success or materialistic happiness or anything that is materialistic in nature is called Preya. All these two, both of these aspects are always there in front of you, are always going to be there right in front of your eyes. It's only those people who are smart. It's only people who understand the difference between these two. It's only people who have a bigger purpose to live in life will understand that you shouldn't be opting for Preya, you should be opting for Shreya. Because Shreya refers to something for Atma Kalyan, for your self-benefit, and Preya refers to only satisfy your senses because it's bhautik in nature. But it's only with time when you start realizing that life has a cycle of goods and bads, sukh and dukh, sampatti and vipatti, that is the kind of realization which will help you achieve that state of mind wherein you won't be selecting materialistic things around you. Rather, you will be selecting immaterialistic things, and that is called Shreya. However, does that mean everyone gets this opportunity? Not really. People who are mood, they don't have the right kind of senses, or people who don't have the right kind of thoughts, or people who only feel that they get satisfied when they are always talking about the bhautik things that are going around them. That helps them, or that makes them achieve only Preya. That is, they get stuck in this worldly things every now and then. Now, here's a food for thought for all of you. Whether you would like to get stuck in something that is worldly, or whether you would like to start and explore yourself in a bit different direction. Because this is what Upanishads can do to you. They can help you the best of realizations. They can help you explore your own self. They can guide you like the sun guides you during darkness. Yeah, I'm talking about the sun guiding you during darkness, because there is sun, there is day. Without sun, there is no light. And hence there is darkness. If there was no sun, there would only be darkness. And during darkness, we look at that Dhruv, that one star in the northern sky, which guides us that that is the north direction. So with this thought, I would like to end my session. I would request you all to subscribe the channel. And if you have any questions, leave it in the comment section. I will be more than happy to answer them in the future state. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bunaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shubham Bhavatu. Krishna Arpanamastu.